Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Astrology Now with Babula and myself. We've got lots to talk about this month. There's lots going on really, a couple of big things, one in particular, but it's because it's the new moon in, I gotta think of it, new moon in Cancer that we'll be talking about, and the planetary influences over the next lunar cycle. So Babula, why don't you kick it off?
Okay, so yes, we're as we talked about last time, we're in the Cancerian energy currently. I wanted to touch on, before we come to the new moon on the 6th, Saturn has just recently turned retrograde at 19 degrees of Pisces. Neptune, as we speak, is about to at 29 degrees of Pisces. So we've got, pardon me, two planets in Pisces. It's pretty much stationary. Like Neptune has really parked itself at 29 degrees for quite a period of time, for about 2.5 months or so. Pardon me, I've got a cough, so I'm going to be disrupting a little bit with my coughing. And as I talk, of course, it catches in my throat.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I've just got a cough. So Neptune has reached 29 degrees and 56 minutes of Pisces, almost made it to Aries, and stopped. Has stopped now. That's where it is now. When I say stopped, it appears to have stopped from our perspective on Earth.
Yeah, right.
So planets don't actually stop, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, we'd be in trouble if they did, I suppose.
Oh, we would.
We would be. Neptune is an outer planet, isn't it? So it's a generational thing.
It is. It is.
Okay, so
it's in a sign for 14 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's worth talking about. It's good you brought that up, because
it is.
It is. So the whole cycle of Neptune is 165 years, meaning it takes 165 years to go from any point in the zodiac all the way around the sun through all the signs and return back to that point. So none of us will live long enough, I assume, to experience a Neptune return. However, Neptune is now at 29 degrees and 56 minutes of Pisces, the very last degree, almost the last minute of the last sign of the zodiac. So it's actually completing a 165-year cycle, right?
Yeah.
But it won't be till next year that it tips across into Aries. And so it'll get to about 2 degrees of Aries next year for a period of time, and then just slip back into Pisces, just like Pluto's been doing with Capricorn Aquarius last year and this year. So we get these slow moving outer planets that are in a sign for a long time. When they change signs, it's momentous. There is a momentous shift of energy, like paradigm shifts. And because both these two outer incredible energies that move so slowly are both changing signs within the same time frame, that's phenomenal. Everyone's feeling it. They don't have to know astrology. Everyone's feeling this Neptune influence.
Well, what I've noticed about that Neptune influence is, Neptune in Pisces, that's like that's like a dissolving of reality, isn't it? It's so nebulous, and we've seen a lot of that happening over the last few years, where the reality that we did know is just disappeared, really, hasn't it? It's become like a vapor. It's just gone.
Absolutely has.
Yeah, and we sort of don't know what's going to happen in the future. We've got an idea, of course, but we don't really know. But I was reading that Mars will sextile Saturn in Pisces. I hope they've got that right. So that would mean then that could Mars and Saturn in that can help to create a new structure for us. That the rest of the universe fills in the blanks, I guess. What do you think?
Yeah. Mars is a faster moving planet. So it will only be in alignment with that Saturn, which it is now,
Yeah, on the
and
3rd.
absolutely exactly on the full moon, on
Yeah.
the new moon,
Mhm.
it will be exactly sextile to the Saturn. So over a period of, we could say, a week, maybe two at the most, those two planets in quite a harmonious, helpful alignment with each other will help to, and Mars is in Taurus,
Yeah.
anchor things and give things a bit of structure, but it's for just a shorter period of time. And then, of course, and we'll come to it, Mars will make a conjunction with Uranus.
Yeah.
So, so this Neptune influence is kind of very predominant, is very dominant even. Like, it's an overarching energy that people are feeling, and it comes in many ways, such as, exhaustion, confusion, feeling that, my life, the world, everything's just in a state of chaos, everything's unraveling, falling apart around me, underneath me, dissolving. And you can feel Neptune back here just quietly going, yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's exactly what my job is.
Yes, yeah. And I think it's, when we're in that phase, a lot of acceptance is needed to just let that happen. Because you
Exactly.
can't, it's like trying to hold sand in your hand. It just like slips through your fingers, doesn't it? So you've got
That's
to
right.
eventually say, well, I just give it up to the gods and I'm okay with that, like,
That's right.
because I just can't hang on to it anymore.
That's right. So Neptune carries, all these planets operate on many levels, of course. The highest expression we could say of Neptune is that it brings us to a state of surrender, so that we can surrender our own personal opinions and ideas about what I think should happen and how I think things should be,
Mm.
and what I'm going to do to control it. Neptune's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Mm.
So the big lesson of Neptune, and that's very strong for everybody right now, is a deep surrender to what is. All the mystics have spoken about this for thousands of years, and they
Yep.
continue to tell us, and we will have all experienced this at times when we just let go. Everything just sort of becomes like a natural flow.
Yeah.
But it includes, we have to be okay with what happens.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a
You
surrender
know,
experience, isn't it?
we have to just go, okay. Some people call it handing it over to God,
Mm.
or just going, I've done my best. I can't control this situation, because if we look at the reality of life around us in this world, there's so much we cannot control. Things are happening,
Yeah.
and things are happening in our own personal world. Things are happening in the outer world. And so Neptune is just, I was going to say hammering this home. He's not really hammering. His method is very subtle, but it's very powerful.
Mm.
And it works by often just draining us of physical energy. We just feel really tired. So we even don't have the energy and the drive to get up and take control necessarily, because we have to let go.
It's almost like, going to lay down on your living room chair or going back to bed and just letting things just wash over you because
Yep.
it's watery, and just because it has to,
Yep.
and you can't stop it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we and our human ego, personality, identity, self doesn't like that. We've been so programmed to believe that, well, I'm in control of this, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Right now, that's not really working very well. The smartest thing for us all to do is to just go, you know what, this is what's happening today. This was my plan. This is what I had planned out for today. Now
Mm.
this has happened. None of that other plan I had can happen.
Yes.
Let go
Yeah.
and go with what is happening. A beautiful spiritual teacher of mine some years ago, he used to just say the simplest thing, and it's like this now.
Yes.
Right now, it's like this.
Well, actually, it's the same as when you're ill. When you're struck down with an illness, there's nothing you can't continue the way you were. You just have to surrender
You
You either
have to
go to bed,
surrender.
or if it's a chronic illness, you go, well, I just have to accept this is how it is now, for
That's right.
now, if it's not permanent. And yeah, that's it.
That's right. And we may have been doing all the things that we know to do, and if none of it's working, at some point there's just surrender. It reminds me of a book I read some years ago by someone who many of the listeners here will know. His name is Michael Singer, and he wrote a book called The Untethered Soul. And it was an experiment. He just was inspired. He was at uni, he was a young man, and he just from somewhere got this impulse to just experiment with every day. I'm just going to surrender to whatever's happening, and I'm just going to say yes and go with the flow. Completely changed his life. It's a very interesting book, and it's very much, he's not speaking astrologically at all, but he's very much talking about this Neptune energy. And the thing about Neptune is that when we are able to just bow down and surrender, it's like that, namaste and bowing down. It's bowing down to, sometimes it even feels like giving in and giving up, but that can be a very positive and beautiful thing in the end, because often that's when miraculous, magical, extraordinary things happen.
I agree. I've seen that happen with people who are ill.
Yes.
And then they make a miraculous recovery when they let go.
And just surrender.
Yeah.
And stop fighting.
Yeah. Because that's the battle, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. It's the ego will that wants to keep battling against. And it's like that image that I have in my files of, a woman standing in front of this massive wall of water like a tidal wave. It can feel like that right now in many ways. For people, they can feel overwhelmed. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just literally surrender to it. So it's not easy for we humans to do that, but there are great gifts in the process,
Yes, I was thinking while you were talking, the hardest thing for people, I see, is surrendering to aging. You know how they say grow old gracefully. You really have to accept, like, this is the life cycle. You start off like young and beautiful or handsome, and then you age, you progressively age, you get to a certain point and you go, well, this is where I'm at now,
That's right.
and that's where we have to have that appreciation and the gratitude that we're actually living while other people have passed on before us who were much younger.
That's right. Instead of fighting it and trying
Yeah.
to hang on to your youth all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the aging body, I think, is a great lesson in humility. And I think Neptune, in my experience, one of the gifts of Neptune that he does teach us to be humble. It's a beautiful energy. It can also open us to states of bliss and, the most exquisitely beautiful experiences and feelings. But that only opens up when we're in a state of surrender and letting go. When we're fighting against the tide and the flow, we're not feeling very blissful,
No.
really. So that's with us now. Neptune and Saturn are both now retrograde in Pisces by the time of the new moon. And when people listen to this, Neptune will have just turned retrograde. And they're both retrograde now for about 5.5 months, going back through Pisces. But it's in the beginning that it's felt most strongly.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we sort of adapt. And of course, retrograde, we're going back. Retrograde periods of time, and then one by one, many of the other planets will start retrograding. This happened last year too. We enter a period of a number of months when there's a lot of planets retrograde. So we're integrating what's happened before. We're going back over. We're processing. We're digesting. We're slowing down. We're sort of absorbing it.
And I think when planets go retrograde, it's to look within.
Yes, exactly.
When they're going forward, it's to look without, but retrograde is to going inwards, isn't it?
Absolutely going inwards. And there's quite a strong sort of karmic feel about retrograde planets as well. We're going back to complete, process, digest, understand something. So while they're turning back, we just have to slow down. And particularly now, we're in the Cancerian cycle. Pluto's retrograde. We're coming up to the Cancer full moon. We've had the winter solstice here in the south. It's cold. Slow down, take it easy. Don't over schedule your diary. If that's available to you, to just really take this on board and be with it. We fight it. That's when we get sick. We just are burning out. Things don't go well.
You know what I find? When I say things like that, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to do less. I find that all these things land on my plate all of a sudden and go, you've got this, this, and this through. And it's almost like I have to then decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that decision making about, well, no, I've got to put myself first here.
Right.
But isn't it interesting? I'm sure other people have that experience when you decide to do less, if you can, or to say no to doing things in the future. But stuff suddenly lands on your plate. It's like a test.
It can absolutely be like this. And then you have to stop and really take your time and consider what your priority is right here.
Yes.
And of course, that will depend a lot on what your current personal transits are in your own chart right now. Because there might be other energies coming in that are saying go in your chart. But the overarching feeling for now, for everybody collectively, is this kind of slowing down, taking time out, tuning into subtleties. Things are very subtle.
Yeah.
And the world is in a state of absolute chaos.
Yeah.
That chaos isn't going to abate anytime soon. There's a woman that I listen to. I have great respect for her. To me, she's one of the most pure spiritual channels I've come across ever. And she says, from about mid last year, 23, we entered what she refers to, and I've heard other people say this, a period of tribulation. We are in tribulation on Earth now. And that we've just sort of come into a period of accelerated chaos. And I absolutely agree. And Neptune is an agent of chaos. So is Uranus. Like things are just happening. And we don't have much control over any of that. And, we've only got to take a peek at the world. And if we dare listen to even a snippet of mainstream media news, just go, oh my God, and turn it off again. It's madness.
Yes, absolutely.
So how can we bring ourselves back to the core of our own being and ground of being and just kind of tune all that out and come back here?
Just as an aside, a curious aside, and it's just clicked. Both Barry and I have recently just done eye tests for new glasses with Neptune hanging around, which governs your perspective of things, doesn't it? Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because the sight starts to get a bit foggy, which is a
Yes.
very Neptune thing. It's like looking through
Yep.
foggy lenses.
Yep, we've both ordered new glasses, due to get them very soon. It's like, oh my God, I've just realized with that Neptune energy, of course.
Yeah. And then you'll be able to see a little more clearly.
Yes,
That's
hopefully.
great. That's great. So I just felt it was really important to address that because I'm seeing it all around me. I'm hearing people saying, what the hell is going on? With clients and so on, and, social media, people are just really, this is what it is. And it's part of the dissolving, as you said earlier, because Neptune's the agent of dissolving and dissolution and disillusionment. Like pretty well everyone's feeling very disillusioned with the state of the world and political systems and all of it. So that's Neptune, because it's all disintegrating.
Yes.
As it needs to and as it has to, but it's not an easy process. We're certainly not going back to the way things were, thank God for that. So July the 6th, Eastern Standard Time in Australia, is the new moon around about 9 o'clock in the morning. That's on Saturday. At 14 degrees and 23 minutes, Cancer. And so, of course, Cancer, pardon me, is the sign of the mother. And all the things to do with nurturing and care and tenderness. And Venus is in Cancer still. And, love, particularly for those near and dear and close to us in our personal world. I always feel Cancer is a very personal energy. Some signs are more universal and very more extrovert. Cancer is very intimate. It's personal. It's our home life. The people really close to us that we're intimate with. And, at this time, we're wanting to spend more time with them, stay close to home. It's food, it's cooking. We said this last time, but it remains very true right now. Making big pots of soup and stews and things and just nesting.
Yeah, I just want to be a homebody.
Me too. I'm going out as little as possible at the moment, and only when I really need to. And yeah, it's just so if we're able to do that, then when the energies change again, and the Sun and Venus start moving into Leo in a few weeks' time, then hopefully and theoretically, we've taken that time out and we can then respond to the new energy that comes in.
Yeah.
And might feel like moving outward a little bit more, because Leo is certainly much more of an externalized, expressive energy.
Yeah. So we've also got, with this new moon, it's also exactly conjunct Sirius, isn't
It
it?
certainly is.
So I was just looking up a bit more about Sirius. I mean, I know about the Dogon people and how they refer to it as the dog star, but it's got this ancient history of being associated with divinity. And I was reading that in the ancient Vedas of India, Sirius was known as the chieftain star, and in other Hindu writings, it's referred to as the rain god or rain star. And curiously, because it marks and predicts events on Earth, the rising of Sirius was intricately linked to the flooding of the Nile in ancient Egypt.
That's right.
That's very interesting, isn't it? So
absolutely.
yeah, so it's considered to be a star for spiritual upliftment and freedom. It's often associated with spiritual warriors and teachers too, and divinely inspired leaders, which I'm not surprised. We're talking about all this Neptune energy as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this conjunction, I guess it's a time that's ripe for divinely inspired actions.
Yes, it's so interesting. Like it feels like there's layers of contradiction in all of that. So because Cancer, to a saying, is more of an internal energy, yet it is a cardinal sign. And the cardinal signs, Cancer, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn, one of each element, the cardinal signs are signs of action. So Cancer's not, I was going to use the word lazy. I might as well, I've said it now, so I will. It's not a lazy sign. Like it's quite motivated. It has a drive. Often Cancerians are running businesses. Their businesses are they usually have a personal orientation.
Yep, like my daughter's business. She runs it from home. She's a Cancerian.
And what does she make?
She makes soy candles.
Candles for the home
Yeah.
and for
Well,
business too.
she creates supplies for stockists. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Or they're working with food. It's a food oriented business or something like that. It's a highly intuitive sign, extremely intuitive. But Sirius, absolutely strongly connected to Egypt and so on. I think all the ancient cultures had a very strong mythology and connection and understanding with the star Sirius, because it's very, very bright. It's about 14 times brighter than our sun. It's the brightest star in our sky. And Oh, I beg your pardon. Talking is tickling my throat. Connected to Isis. You know, I think they even associated with Sirius with Isis herself, the great mother goddess of Egypt. She carries a strong mother energy. And, you know, there are statues of her with her son Horus on her lap, just like the Virgin Mary and just like the Black Madonnas and so on. You know, the mother goddess with the child, the infant on her lap, or at the breast. I've seen those of Isis as well. So this is a really powerful new moon, exactly the same degree as the fixed star, which don't move, or they move so minusculely over long periods of time, exactly the same degree. And you're absolutely right. Sirius is associated with, you know, spiritual awakening and elevated consciousness, because it's a very bright sun. You know, even our sun is associated with the light of consciousness and know thyself, you know, awaken to who we truly are.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating that it's in the sign of Cancer, and how I, in my way of seeing things, translate that makes sense to me. It brings it back home to just being your natural self. Like it's this close. You know, we go off on wild searches, you know, on the quest to find ourselves or to find the meaning of life and find God. It's actually right here. It's very personal. It's very intimate. It's very close to home.
Yes, yes.
You know, it reminds me of Paulo Coelho and his book, The Alchemist. Was it The Alchemist? Where he went searching for the gold.
Right.
Turns out it was buried right under the tree that he was always sitting under.
That's very similar to something that I've read too, which was a meme actually, which said, "I went in search of God, so I sat still for 3 days and I found him."
That's right. Exactly. And there's a Sufi part of a Sufi poem that says the same thing, something like, you know, I went searching through all the temples and the minarets and all the lands until I found it hidden like a pearl in the shell of my own heart. It's the same message everywhere. And I think that's a big part of what the spiritual message of Cancer is. It's about loving ourselves, loving those close to us, and coming home to who we are. That's ultimately what it's about. And knowing that home is right here. And I just love that, you know, that connection to Sirius and Isis. And this full moon is also exactly opposite the great mother asteroid Ceres, Ceres, who is the goddess of the grain and the harvest and nature.
Right.
So you see these connections, you know, and the moon, of course, rules Cancer, and now this is the new moon in Cancer. It's quite powerful. Like,
I just love that added layer with the asteroids. I think they're just so interesting. I'm certainly looking into that more and more.
yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. These added layers and these other dimensions that just give more information and insight. Yeah. And the fixed stars sometimes when they come in too, they can be really helpful.
Right.
Just for interest, the sun in the USA chart, birth chart, because the USA was born on the 4th of July, right, which is the 5th of July here. So the birthday celebrations for the US are pretty much right on this new moon.
Oh, wow.
But the sun in the USA chart is at 13 degrees of Cancer, conjunct the fixed star Sirius.
Yeah.
So this new moon could be quite impactful for the States. We know a great deal is going on in the United States. Massive. So that's quite interesting. The connection with Ceres, the asteroid, not Sirius, the star, has a lot to do with farming and agriculture and the production of food. There's a lot going on in that realm as well.
Well, put a pin on that point because I'll bring it up later about the US and that when we get to the Uranus yeah, what is it? Forgotten
Yes.
already. The Mars conjunct Uranus. Yes.
So
I'm not
what?
going to
Oh,
talk about,
okay. Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I
I'm not
thought
going
you
to
were
talk
going to
about
say
it now. I don't
something.
want to, sorry.
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
want to
Great.
interrupt, but it looks like I have.
No, that's okay. I don't think I was saying anything else in particular.
Mhm.
So, there's an overall energy around this whole new moon period, and
Mm,
for a while that is very connected to the feminine. Like it's really balanced towards the feminine energies because of the new moon in Cancer, because of Sirius Isis, Ceres, the mother goddess of the grain and the harvest, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. These are water signs. They have feminine yin energies. And the Mars Uranus conjunction coming up in Taurus. Earth signs are of the feminine yin energy, and
mm,
Taurus is ruled by Venus, the goddess. And the black moon Lilith has only just moved into Libra, which is
okay.
also, even though it's a yang sign because it's air, it's ruled by Venus again, the goddess.
Okay, all right. No. The planets have got a plan
They certainly do.
all around this feminine energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
That actually, I think we should dive straight into the Mars Uranus conjunction
Go.
because that's coming up. I'm leaping ahead a little bit now right into the middle of the month. On July the 16th, Australian timing, Mars, the warrior planet that has a 2-year orbit, so it takes 2 years to return to any given point, spends 6 weeks in a sign, will make a conjunction, that is, they're joined together with the slow-moving planet Uranus
Mm,
at 26 degrees of Taurus.
mm,
Now, there's a lot to say about that because this is and then I'm going to bring in another fixed star, which brings us back to the feminine strongly. Mars and Uranus combinations in anyone's chart, I have them in a trine aspect in my chart, a harmonious trine.
I've got a
Um,
conjunct.
what's that? You've got a conjunction?
Well, extended. It's like it's 8 degrees.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm wrong there. It doesn't matter. Keep going.
Okay. Mars is a planet of action. It's masculine energy. It rules Aries.
Mm,
And its impulse is to make things happen, to push forward, sometimes to fight, to go to war sometimes. But at its, really highest expression is to make a clear choice and act on it and move forward and to
mm,
cut through obstacles and so on. So Mars, that strong energy meets Uranus,
mm.
the planet of chaos, disruption, breakthroughs, breakdowns, earthquakes.
Yeah, explosive action, isn't it?
It's a very explosive combination in
Yeah.
the fixed earth sign of Taurus, which is a very
Yeah.
powerful energy.
Yeah.
And so already, in the week or two leading up to the exact conjunction, so from the new moon, really, Mars is already approaching Uranus and already forming a conjunction, but it becomes exact on the 16th at 25 degrees of Taurus. So there's likely to be earth movement,
Yes.
the quakes, volcanoes.
Well, this is where I want to take that pin out because I was watching that at Yellowstone. There has been an opening which is a few inches wide and miles long, and people have been filming it. It's been and putting it up on YouTube or on their social media accounts, and they've all been removed. So someone doesn't want people to know about that. I guess maybe panic. I don't know. I don't want to put words in someone's mouth, but I just thought that's really interesting.
That's very interesting. About, I don't know, maybe a week ago, I saw that image
Mm,
and I haven't seen it since. And I've
yeah,
forgotten about it.
yeah.
That's a very Mars Uranus moment. earthy
Taurus.
Taurus.
Yeah,
Literally, the
exactly.
ground is cracking.
And um people, geologists, volcanologists, I suppose, all sorts of people and mainstream people have been saying for decades, Yellowstone's going to blow. It's due to blow, you know.
It's a
Mm,
very seismic area, and Mars-Uranus conjunction is a seismic energy.
mm,
And so we're going to see incredible disruptive, unexpected, radical changes in political scenarios.
mm,
We know that the UK is going to the polls, France is going to the polls. Look what's happened in the United States recently with the famous debate. I mean, it's like anything can happen.
yeah,
Seismic shifts are going on. And I'm not saying this to startle or frighten people. Our way through this as awakened beings, is to remain very centered and focused on the here and now and on
mm,
what sustains us, and to let all that chaos do its thing, because we can't stop it. It
mm,
has to happen.
mm.
Stay right here in this zone.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanted to just say something about that on a personal note, because when
Good.
that happens with Uranus, it usually affects my anxiety levels because I'm a super sensitive person, and there's other
Yeah.
people out there who are like that. So I was
Yeah.
just going to suggest that if people are very sensitive, perhaps that's a good time. I think this is around the 16th, isn't it?
Yes, it
16th
is.
night, yeah. It's a good time to take a step back from social media or news,
Yeah.
events, negative people or situations, and just take care of your nervous system.
Very well said. Absolutely. Because it can easily be triggered.
Yeah. And also, don't rush around. Honor your own pace by walking to your own beat so you don't feel
Yeah.
rushed and
Yeah.
end up having an accident, either
Yeah.
caused by yourself or someone else. Just slow down and remain aware. But with that energy, sometimes some things are out of our control, and this aspect can sort of remind us of that. So,
That's right.
we might end up, I don't know, some people will end up with a broken leg or broken something, but Uranus breaks things, doesn't it?
It does. And it can be as simple as you're having a stressed morning, trying to
Yeah.
get out of the house, and you're clearing dishes and you drop your favorite bowl.
Yeah.
It's a Uranian moment. So remaining as grounded and calm as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, Taurus is a pretty grounded energy, but this combination, it can be quite disruptive.
Yeah.
Um, but I also have to say, this can also be, for some, it might bring an incredible breakthrough
Yeah.
in some way, a breakthrough of consciousness, a breakthrough in their personal. It depends where this conjunction is occurring in their own birth chart.
Mm, mm.
You know, is it in the
Well,
fourth house of home and family? Is it in the third house of communication and
that's,
information? Oh, that's you. Okay, that's right. So it is.
yes. But I just wanted to say too that if things do go awry and something happens out of the blue, um,
Yeah.
sometimes things happen to give us a kick along, but if it happens to people, to look for the opportunities in the experience rather than that point of impact, that point of breaking down, breaking up. Like we can get stuck a bit on the actual experience rather than, okay, well, it's like making lemonade out of lemons, that sort of thing. Look for,
It really is,
yeah,
because the real expression and purpose of Uranus is about awakening of consciousness.
yeah, yeah,
So if things are happening, that's actually what it's about.
yeah,
Something suddenly changes because it needed to right then.
yes, yeah,
And these slow moving outer planets, when they make these exact alignments, particularly with a faster moving inner planet, that's often the trigger for something to occur that facilitates another level of our awakening.
yeah,
And Neptune's awakening is through surrender and trust and faith. Uranus is often through sudden breakthroughs or sudden things that happen unexpectedly.
yeah, yeah,
Pluto's awakening process is through processing old traumas and material deep in the unconscious, they're all playing their different role, and they do it in their own different way. So by the way, every 2 years there's a conjunction of Mars and Uranus. So it's not like we haven't lived through many of them before. We have, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to bring in something else that's very interesting. We talked about the fixed star Sirius on the new moon, and on this conjunction at 25 degrees of Taurus with Mars and Uranus, that is the exact degree of another fixed star called Algol, Algol, if anyone wants to look it up. In the ancient tradition, Algol was regarded as a demon star. Nasty. A nasty influence of, violence and beheadings and war and chaos, and had a very not a good reputation. But when we look deeper, and if we look deeper into the mythology, Algol is actually in the Greek pantheon. She's Medusa. Medusa with the hair of snakes. And when we investigate that whole story much deeper than the one we've been told on a superficial level, because a lot of these stories are related to the repression of the feminine.
Yes.
And it's worth just relating the story, because this Uranus-Mars conjunction on Algol is very significant and could be very powerful and potent. Literally, heads may roll. And she was originally a beautiful young woman who was in Athena's temple. Poseidon, Neptune came in, saw her, raped her in Athena's temple, and impregnated her. Athena heard about this and was so outraged, but she didn't have a go at Poseidon, Neptune. She punished I've gone blank. What did I say? Medusa. She punished Medusa.
Yes.
And her punishment was that she cast a spell on her, a curse, and turned her hair into writhing snakes. That whenever she would look at a man, if a man looked at her, her glare would turn him into stone. That was the curse. But when you understand the backstory, it's about injustice, and injustice done towards the feminine. How many times have we heard some cultures, and historically a woman is raped and she's blamed and punished?
Yes, exactly.
So there's a lot, and Taurus is one of the feminine signs. It's ruled by Venus. So there could be themes around, the land, agriculture, food, the feminine. Again, we're coming back to these strong themes of the feminine, and injustices done in so many ways, to the feminine principle on this earth. So, but, politically, when Algol's activated politically, there are often, heads roll in the political arenas. Someone is sacked, or someone resigns, which is a polite way of saying, they've been booted out of the job. And so it'd be very interesting to see how this one unfolds. But it's quite strong.
While you're talking about Algol, I'm getting images of Vlad the Impaler that I used to learn about in history. Heads on the end of spikes in the street. Oh my God.
Gruesome stuff. I mean, God, the history of humanity is pretty gruesome.
It is, it is.
Please bring on, the new earth and the new consciousness as quickly as possible. We have to go through this. So, but really at the heart of Algol, there's this female power, and the Black Moon Lilith has a similar kind of feeling. It's a bit Kali-like, the beautiful, dark, gorgeous, amazing power and magnificence of the feminine, which has become so distorted in this patriarchal world and so diminished and turned demonic, but that's not really what it is at all. So it's complicated.
It is. It is. It's, I was reading something recently about, a matriarchal society originally, it was civilization was ruled by women. That and I've got a book called when the drummers were women, or when women were drummers, like,
Yes,
but it was all wiped out by the church, the powerful female, or getting in touch with their, I don't know, metaphysical self, perhaps, their altered states of consciousness and all this.
that's right.
And it was suggested in the article I was reading that actually it was women who introduced language and knowledge about agriculture and all this sort of stuff. I mean,
That's right.
if true, um, and I've got my own theories about that, but if true, women have really been suppressed, really just
Hugely,
kicked out of the picture completely.
hugely.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the witch hunts, which occurred for quite a long period of time, it wasn't just a couple of years,
Mm,
a couple of centuries, huge numbers of women,
mm.
tortured and burnt at the stake for no reason whatsoever,
Yep.
actually,
Yes.
as a way to, it was like a reign of terror
Mm.
to force women to toe the line and behave themselves,
Yes.
or there's dire punishment.
And on the female principle, and I think that's why we've gotten to a stage now where war is dominant, rather than diplomatic solutions.
Exactly.
That because the diplomatic way is the way that a woman would sit and negotiate and talk things through, and doesn't matter if it takes 5, 10 years, they'd still be sitting there like the kid, go to your room and come out when you stop crying,
Yeah, and until you come to an agreement,
Absolutely, yeah.
rather than might is right, and whoever's got the biggest club wins.
Yes, and killing is so anti-female.
That's right.
We're the life givers,
That's right.
yeah.
So this is quite a potent time, I think,
Mm.
around these themes, of the feminine and
Yep.
the awakening of feminine consciousness and all that represents. Feminine energy is very powerful, but it's also an energy of love, and love itself is a very powerful force.
Yes, yeah.
So, so, in,
So go
yeah,
on.
no,
Oh,
no, no, you
oh,
go on.
I was just going to say that we've jumped from the 6th of July to the
I know.
16th. So how about we back it up a bit?
So if we back it up a little bit,
Yeah.
um, um, so Venus on the 12th will go into Leo. So Venus is currently in Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So feminine. This is the soft, loving heart of the mother and the carer and so on. Venus will go into Leo. Mercury's already gone into Leo, so we're bringing in a bit of that fiery, expressive Leo. Leo's all about expression.
Mm.
Showing up. Here I am, radiating like the sun, expressing ourselves. See, Cancer's ruled by the moon, Leo's ruled by the
Mm.
sun.
Mm.
They're the solar and the lunar principles, masculine and feminine principles, and they're like equal in
Yeah.
energy, really.
So Venus is putting her party dress on?
It's putting a party dress on, putting a bright red lippy on,
Yep, yep,
right?
yep.
Getting out the jewels,
Yes, yeah.
perhaps even planting a crown on her head, if she wants to go all the way. It's that queen
Yes,
energy.
yeah. We've skipped ahead before something I wanted to talk about before that date.
Okay, so let's do that.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention about Pallas Athena being retrograde in Scorpio until the 9th of July, which is just only a few days after the moon. But Pallas Athena was the daughter of Zeus and goddess of wisdom. She represents our talents in the arts, wisdom, defense, intuition, justice, as you were mentioning before, you raised it before
Yeah.
somewhere, and artisan endeavors, making things with your hands. And she shows us where we're a master at negotiation and how we can create win-win situations. But where it's placed in our natal chart for anyone who actually wants to look that up, And you can go to various websites to look up your natal chart which includes the asteroids. It often describes our relationship with our father and how we treat males in general as a result. And Pallas Athena is about the battles we choose in life and how we fight them, but also, how we struggle, how we can struggle with conflict and legal battles and injustice as well. So I just thought I wanted to mention that because some of that could be playing out for people as well.
Absolutely. She's a strong archetype as well. She's got the warrior feminine energy. She's born out of the father's head.
Yeah.
Fully dressed for battle, ready to go.
Yeah.
But she doesn't go in there with brute strength, and bombs and so on. But she does fight, but you're absolutely right, she also negotiates.
Yes.
So she will enter the battlefield, but with feminine wisdom and negotiation skills. But she's ready for the battle. She doesn't shy away from that. Yeah, and in Scorpio, that's quite deep and strong. So yeah, absolutely. We're back in the water element again. Yeah. What degree is she currently? I didn't have a look at that.
I didn't.
That's
I
okay.
didn't note it. No.
That's okay. Yeah, the asteroids really are great. They just bring in this other fine tuning. It's like more fine tuning.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, Venus and Leo is lovely, for enjoyment. Anyone who does any kind of creative, expressive work, wonderful for that. When I see that in people's charts, they've got Venus in Leo, I'm quite envious. It's just so often so naturally very talented.
When does that happen?
Venus goes into Leo on July the 12th.
The 12th. Okay. Right.
Now, what I wanted to say about that, as Venus and then later the Sun go into Leo, as they do that, they're going to make an opposition with Pluto. So as she goes into Leo on the 12th, around the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, around those days, she'll be opposite Pluto. So that's quite a strong combination. Venus to Pluto can be intensity in relationships.
Yeah, I was going to say how we express ourselves in relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Venus is in Cancer in relationships, she's loving, she's nurturing, do you need a cup of tea? I'm simplifying it, but you get the picture. When she's in Leo, she's more passionate, she's more powerful, expressive. She's going to say what she wants, right? She's going to express what she needs and what she wants in relationship dynamic. That opposition to Pluto over that few days or even a week could highlight in people's personal relationships some issues, bring some things up that simply need to be expressed and brought to the light. She plays more of a maternal role when she's in Cancer. She's going to want to come forward when she goes into Leo. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about Venus that I hadn't really talked much about previously in the last talk we did is that she's been through an underworld journey. She made a conjunction with the Sun, forming one of the points on the 5-pointed Venus star. And I was going to say the pentagram. Not the Instagram, the pentagram.
Social media for you.
I was trying to find the word, and the word Instagram was in the way. The pentagram, and she has been for the last 9 months or so, the morning star. She's now moving away from the conjunction with the Sun and separating from the Sun, and will begin over the next few days, will begin faintly to appear as the evening star setting after the Sun has set. So there's a change of energy with Venus. she's going to be showing up in the evening skies. Now, rather than leading the way, coming up ahead of the sun, she's setting behind the sun. So again, we've got Venus themes,
Yeah.
going on. Venus, Cancer, the moon, the feminine themes.
I love Venus. She's all about we rather than me, isn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's
I
the
like.
counterpart to Mars.
Yes, I'm like that. I've got Venus in my first house.
Yes,
It's always about, it's a diplomatic solution. Let's find a win-win to this situation. I don't like, not that I can't be in conflict, I can, but I prefer to sit down and, like exactly what we're saying, negotiate, work things out, that sort of
that's
thing.
right. And have the discussions and the conversations
Yes, yes.
and listen to the other and so on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm,
Yeah, that's right. It's not the who's got the biggest club. It's just not what she's about
no.
at all. So even in Aries, she can fight, but it's still Venus. It's coming from this principle of love. Now on the 21st,
Yeah.
Mars will leave Taurus, having had its meeting with Uranus, and will completely change energy and go into Gemini
Yay.
for 6 weeks. So
Busy.
Mars in Taurus, for the 6 weeks Mars has been in Taurus, it's very determined, it's very grounded, its action is focused on practical matters and so on, getting things organized, systematized, all of that, sorting out money and finances. By the way, the Mars-Uranus conjunction could be big around finances and world economic systems. There could be big things happening at that moment, around those couple of days. Mars in Gemini, Mars brings energy to whatever sign it's going through, a lot of energy and heat. In medical astrology, Mars has got a lot to do with heat, pardon me, and inflammation. So in Gemini, it's stimulating and energizing the mental plane,
Yeah.
information, words, ideas, the mind, talking, reading, learning, listening, the media. It can even bring its more aggressive energy to that area of life as well. There could be lots of verbal arguments and, things could get quite fiery.
Yeah, it likes to use words more than a sword, but those words can have a sting in them.
Yeah, it can. I often think of Mars as he goes through the signs is what's his weapon of choice in that sign.
Yes, yeah.
So words
Words.
can be used as weapons, sharp words.
Yeah.
Conflict in communication. But it's really going to, in many ways, we'll experience it as a more busy kind of period, because Gemini is a very busy sign.
It is.
It's a
Lots to
restless
do, lots to
energy,
do.
lots to do. And it's like, oh, and this and this, and it's busy and it's multifaceted. There's always many things going on at once.
It's like the story with the white, is it the white rabbit? Always looking at the watch. Going,
That's right.
yes, hurry up, come on.
That's right. Very, very quick. It's quick,
Yes,
quick, quick.
places.
And Mars is a quick energy. So it's like, okay, let's go, let's go.
Can that make people feel anxious?
Some people will love this.
Yeah.
They will ride it and thrive on it because that really suits them. Other people could find that very stressful.
Yes, yeah. I was just thinking my moon's in Gemini with Mars coming along. It's like,
It's going to really get your moon energy, moving.
yes, yeah.
That's right.
Mm.
And by then, Venus has come out of Cancer. And isn't that interesting? I didn't make a note, but always around the 20th, 21st, the sun changes sign. So I haven't made a note of that here, but the sun will be leaving Cancer as Mars is going into Gemini. So the sun will go into Leo.
Yeah. On the
Within
22nd by
that
the looks of it.
period, it might even be the same day.
Yeah, I've got here the 22nd. I'm looking at the wheel.
Yeah, I think you're right, because the full moon's on the 21st at 29 degrees of Capricorn Cancer. So it'll be late the 21st or into the 22nd. So there's a change, absolute change. Mars goes into Gemini and the Sun goes into Leo and comes out of Cancer. So we're moving into more the yang masculine energies all of a sudden. So use this time, folks, if you can, you know, to be very nurturing and low key as much as that's available.
Yeah, and I'm just still looking where Pluto is in Aquarius, retrograde, 1 degree, 20 minutes retrograde.
Yeah.
So we've still got, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's a lot to digest, isn't
A
there?
lot to digest.
Yes. But curious and interesting, and certainly I've got the 21st of July. Is that when the 16th of July when Mars conjuncts Uranus? That is in my diary. I'm
Yes.
just keeping an eye on, you know, everything.
That's right. And so we'll all experience it in our own particular way. You know, as an astrologer, the main reason I'm interested in world events these days, I try and ignore as much of it as possible. But astrologically, keep a bit of an eye on it, you know, to see what happens as these astrological movements are taking place.
Well, it's definitely got a warlike energy, doesn't it?
Well, yes, it's very volatile.
Yeah.
Yes, so that, you know, will show up for us all individually according to our own chart and current life circumstances.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
that might look like.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Very
My
interesting.
pleasure again.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like it, leave your comments, especially around the 16th of July. We want to know what happens.
Yeah, tell us what's happening. That's right.
I'll post if there's something happens as well to me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and keep an eye on world events for that day. So until we meet again, Babula.
Yes, Joe, absolutely. Won't be long.
Which will be, I was going to say, which will be soon for sure. Take care, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this episode and stay safe and be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.